All right. May I request Krisa to please lead the prayer?
Hello, let us pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily
Give
bread
us
and
this day our
forgive
daily
us our
bread and forgive us
trespasses,
our
as we
trespasses.
forgive those who trespass
Forgive us our
against us.
trespass
And
against
lead
us.
us not into
And lead us not
temptation,
into
but deliver
temptation, but
us from
deliver us
evil.
from
Amen.
evil.
In the name of the
In the
Father,
name
the
of the
Son, and
Father,
the
the
Holy
Son, the Holy
Spirit. Amen.
Spirit. Amen. Okay, thank you, Krisa. All right. So, okay. So, how are you? Okay, we're
Fine.
still okay lang. Okay, so we're still waiting for the rest, no? So I expect more students to attend the class, no? Okay. So, hmm, all right. So our for our session today, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Join na
All
lang
right,
sir.
loud and clear. All right. So, um today we are going to discuss about the nutrients, no, functions and sources, no. Uh, last last Wednesday or last week, we have discussed about carbohydrates, and since we had a meeting, uh, that's why we just met for an hour, no, and then hopefully we can maximize the time because we need to, catch up, no, and I have actually posted some the slides in our Google Classroom. I hope you found them. No, so okay. So today we are going to discuss about depende lang ha if we're able to finish the to how long are we going to finish um, the coverage for today. But I hope now we can finish at least probably 3 topics. No, uh, the better. All right. So, okay, wait lang. So last meeting we've discussed about carbohydrates. Okay. All right. So today we are going to. Um, can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, can you hear me now? All right. I do not know what happened earlier. Okay.
What happened, Lisa?
Okay, I'll share the screen, okay? Huh? All right, I'll just share the screen, huh? Okay. All right. Can you see the screen? Okay. All right. Okay.
Yes, sir. Makita, sir.
Okay. Please. Okay. All right. Okay. We'll just wait for. All right. Uh, okay, got. Okay. All right.
Nag-loading pa ang PowerPoint po, sir.
Oh. Okay. How about that? Can you see now the screen? All right. Our topic for today is lipids or fats. Okay. Okay. You now. Okay. Hello? Okay. All right. So I'll share the screen. I think there is a problem in the internet connection. Okay. All right. Mhm. Okay. Can you see the screen? All right. So our in the previous discussion, we discussed about carbohydrates, and today we are going to have lipids or fats. Okay. So the objectives for this session are state the functions of fats in the body, identify sources of dietary fats, explain common classification of fats, and lastly, describe disease conditions associated with excessive use of fats. All right, so it's a good start that we have discussed carbohydrates first, no? Okay. So fats, no? Fats or actually lipids, no? Belong to a group of organic compounds called lipids. Actually, lipids yan sila class, no? If you hear the word lipid, they actually mean the same, no? With fats, no? Although pag sinabi kasing fat is different from cholesterol, no? The fatty acids, is different from cholesterol, but these are if for example compounds na siya, then that particular group is called as lipids. Okay, they're actually known to be greasy. All right, so these are greasy substances that are insoluble in water. And as you know, each gram of fat contains 9 calories. Okay, and just like carbohydrates, it is composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and it has lower proportion of oxygen than carbohydrates. Okay, so still it has the same components as similar components to carbohydrates, but that it has carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, unless it is a compound like a lipoprotein. Okay, later I'll discuss to you about the lipoproteins. All right. Okay, so fatty acids and triglycerides. Okay, so this is the structure of um, a glycerol, no? Uh, a glycerol, okay? So a glycerol is an alcohol composed of a three carbon chain, which can serve as a backbone for a triglyceride. Okay, so this is a glycerol. Okay, as you can see there, that's why it's called triglyceride. If you notice, no, probably if your siguro you would notice in your parents, they check on their lipid profile, and one of the uh, specific biochemical uh, biochemical item there is triglycerides. Okay, so triglycerides is actually a composed of glycerol and three fatty acids. So this is a glycerol. Okay, so a fatty acid naman. Okay, so a triglyceride is one glycerol with attached three fatty acids in its structure. Okay, so fatty acids is an organic acid. It is a chain of carbon atoms with hydrogen. Okay, example of a fatty acid is acetic acid. acetic acid, it has a methyl and an acid end. Okay, so methyl, okay, so you CH3 dyan, that's a methyl, no, and then it has an acid end. Okay, so again, a triglyceride is um, a, s- a a fat, no, or a lipid rather, that has one glycerol and three fatty acids attached to it. Okay. All right. So that's why it's called triglyceride. Okay. So the functions of fats, it provides energy. Okay. So as you know, it provides 9 kcal per gram. It carries fat soluble vitamins. The soluble vitamins are vitamins A, D, E, and K. And it also supplies essential fatty acids. Okay, so we will discuss this specifically, no, itong mga essential fatty acids. Okay, protect and support organs and bones, insulate from cold. Okay, um, as fats or lipids they are good insulator, no? So that's why yung mga polar bears, um, they should be fat helps them to um, he- uh, fats the fats in their body help them to survive in a very very low temperature, in a very very cold climate. Okay, so it's actually an insulator. Fat is actually an insulator. That is why you would notice na, for example, may there is somebody who is medyo chub or obese, uh, pag air conditioned ang room, yung uh, yung less ang yung payat, actually masyado na malamig, pero for somebody who has a lot of or bigger body fat percentage, uh, parang napakainit for the person, no? Because um, it also matters, no, yung sa body fat percentage, because the fat is actually an insulator from cold. And another function is that it provides satiety after meals. Okay, so providing satiety after meals is that it uh, 'di ba, if you would notice na sa fat, no, after consuming fats, there is what we call bidling.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Sir,
Sir, nawala ka, sir.
Jen, sir,
Yes. Nawala si sir.
nawala, sir.
Agoy.
Hello? Okay na. All right. Okay. Dugay ba? Okay. All right. So, again, let's go back, no? Okay. I don't know what happened. The connection is really, really bad. Okay. So, can you see the screen now? All right.
Yes, sir.
So, okay. So functions of fat, again, as I was saying, it provides energy. It provides 9 kcal per gram, and and another function of fat is that it carries fat soluble vitamins. Okay, the fat soluble vitamins. Without fat, there would be no vitamins A, D, E, and K. All right, or ADEC. Okay, so that is why fat is still very important, no? And it supply essential fatty acid, no? Essential fatty acid, we have the uh we have omega 3 and omega 6, no? So essential fatty acids, these are fatty acids which cannot be synthesized by the body. Okay, so earlier in the um, during our first session, we have defined essentiality, no? When you say essential, essential are the nutrients which cannot be synthesized or cannot be produced inside the body. That's why we need them, no, from to be taken from the diet. Okay, so and then there are essential fatty acids. So that is why we need to consume them from the diet. Otherwise, uh, we will be deficient with these, no? So uh, affecting nutrition. Okay. So another function of fat is that it protect and support organs and bones. And okay, so like so say for example, especially for women, no, sa um especially for women and for men, under our skin merong fat yan, no? uh, Hindi diretso ang skin natin, hindi siya diretso sa bone agad, no? So may mga fatty fats pa dyan, no? Because again, the fat supports the organs and bones. Otherwise, there would be a problem sa bones natin, no? And different organs of the body without the fat, no? So underneath our skin, may fats dyan, no? Okay, so it's also an insulator. So again, that's what I said earlier. Insulates us from cold, no? During cold weather, um, the fat makes us warmer. Okay, so just like yun nga is perfect example is yung mga polar bears, no? That is why they need to have higher body fat percentage to keep them warm. Okay? And then another is it provides satiety after meals. Um, they provide satiety after meals. Uh, we tend to uh, become satisfied right after eating a fatty meal compared to carbohydrates and protein, no? Uh, the, actually, in Bisaya or in Cebuano, there is what we call bidli, no? Uh, Yan. So that's one of the functions of fat, no? So like let's say especially pag yung may mga maraming gata or let's say maraming butter, no? So yan it actually provides satiety after meals. Now you are satisfied already. Okay? All right. So the food sources of fat include animals. You have fatty meats and fish, dairy products, whole milk, and also egg yolk. No? So sa egg, the fat can be found in the egg yolk. Okay? So sa egg white, ang egg white naman you can only have water and protein there, no? Um, sa egg white. Okay, so the cholesterol and the fat is actually can be found in the egg yolk. All right, so for plant sources, we have vegetable oils and margarine, okay, nuts and olives, chocolates, and also avocados. These are good sources of fats. Okay, all right. So another another thing that you need to know is visible and invisible fats. When you say visible fats, these are fats in foods that are purchased and used as fats, such as butter or margarine, lard, and cooking oils. Invisible fats, these are fats that are not immediately noticeable, such as those in egg yolk. No, you do not know that it's fatty really, but there is fat in there, but it's hidden. Okay, so egg yolk, cheese, cream, and salad dressings. Okay, so my emphasis here is that we have to be careful about the invisible fats. Visible fats, it's easy to, to see kasi ano, they're visible, no? Makita talaga na um, uh, may oil ang pagkain, no? Um, or oil or fat ang pagkain. When you say, by the way, there's a difference between fat and oil. Um, ang isang difference nila is that fat is solid at room temperature. Okay, so example, we have butter, no? At room temperature, butter is solid, no? So at uh, at the oil naman, like let's say for example, vegetable oil, our
Hello, sir. Nawala ka, sir.
oh, can you hear me? Hello? All
Yes,
right,
sir.
Ana.
Marinig ko na, sir.
Okay. I don't know what's happening. Okay. All right. Uh-huh. Okay. Let me know if you have a problem, if there is a problem in the audio and the video. Can Okay. Okay. All right. Mhm. Okay, can you see my screen? All right. Okay, so as I was saying, dito na tayo sa ano, no? Visible and invisible fats, no? So we need to be careful about the invisible fats kasi ito yung mga usually these are these are the things, no, like let's say for example sa cakes, no, you're not pretty sure, you're not very sure na cake pala, you do not know na kasi hindi mo nakikita right away na meron siya mataas ang fat content kasi 'di ba, as you know, if somebody of you here is baking, um, meron siya may butter, may egg yolk, merong or if not in the case of chiffon, meron siyang oil. Okay? So, we have to be careful about the invisible fats kasi baka mapapadami ang consumption natin because we are not aware that we are consuming already the invisible fats. No problem with visible fats kasi um, we can predict it right away, no? All right. So, um, stop and share. You are the nurse teaching a class about nutrition. A client asks about ways to decrease the amount of fat in the diet. What are some suggestions you can give? Okay. Here we have all right. So beware of hidden fats, no? So decrease the amount of fatty meats. Okay. Such as bacon, sausage, luncheon meats, and use lean meats instead. And use low fat or skim milk, and use egg whites instead of yolks when possible. Egg white contains no fat. Okay, so that's what I said earlier. That's what I shared earlier. It is almost entirely protein and water. Okay. All right. So the classification have triglycerides. Most lipids in the body, it's 95% of which are triglycerides, and they're composed of three fatty acids attached to a framework of glycerol. Okay, so that's what I showed you earlier. And then another classification of lipid, we have phospholipids. Okay, ito naman, meron siyang phosphate. Okay, phosphate and fat. Okay, so that's why it's called phospholipids now because it's already a compound. And then sterols, we have cholesterol. Okay, although okay, later we will discuss further about etong sterol, no? Uh, Kaya nga, class, as a family, it's called as lipids rather than fats. No, although the word fat is acceptable, but technically it's called as lipids. Okay, so but the two terms are interchangeable. Okay, all right. Now, fatty acid classification, this may be classified, the fatty acid classification, okay, may be classified by the body's need for them. Okay, so we have essential fatty acids and the non-essential fatty acid. Like let's say for example, essential fatty acid, those which our body cannot produce. Okay, so that's why we need to consume them from the diet. Okay, so the non-essential amino acids naman, these are um, these are fatty acids which can be produced in in the body. Okay, so like let's say for example, yung ang cholesterol, no, the body makes its own cholesterol. The human body and animals, no, makes a actually the human body is actually producing cholesterol, no, so that's why cholesterol is essential. Okay, non-essential rather, non-essential. Although it can be essential in the sense that pag sinabing dietary essential ang cholesterol, uh, you consume it from pag sinabing dietary cholesterol, let's say for example, kumain ka ng chicharon or kumain ka ng balot or kumain ka ng anything that contains cholesterol, um, food items na merong cholesterol, uh, that is actually considered as dietary cholesterol. Okay? So, but technically, our body produces its own cholesterol. So, our body is producing more cholesterol than than what we consume. Okay? So, imagine we're consuming a lot of cholesterol and yet uh, uh, we are actually producing a lot of cholesterol but our body is consuming All right, can you hear me now again? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I think there's a problem with the connection. I do not know if you're having the same problem yung sa internet connection. I'm using my data and at the same time the the internet connection mahina. Okay. All right, so sige lang. Okay. Um I'll go back no to our topic no which is fats or lipids. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, sige. Okay, thank you. All right, so we are already here in okay. So we are already here in the fatty acid classification. Okay. So uh So again, fatty acid may be classified by the body's need for them, no? So merong essential fatty acids. These are omega-3 and omega-6. And the non-essential fatty acid, okay, these are the fatty acids which our body can produce. Okay? All right. So fatty acid classification, this may be classified by the degree of saturation with hydrogen atoms, no? So meron tayong tinatawag na saturated and then we also have unsaturated. Health-wise, we should actually emphasize in planning, no, more into unsaturated fatty acids than saturated fats, no? So dapat more unsaturated. Okay, so pag sinabing more unsaturated, that only means ang source of fat mo comes from plant sources. Okay, you can because unsaturated fats usually come from plant sources. Okay, except of course if you consume
fats from tropical plants, no, or tropical oils like uh, like coconut, no. Coconut is very rich in saturated fatty acids. The rest, coconut and palm oil, they are very rich in saturated fats. Okay, so but the rest of the sources ng fat uh, from coming from plant sources, they are considered to be mostly, or they are unsaturated. Okay? So we emphasize more our intake, no? Sa diet dapat ang monounsaturated fat at saka polyunsaturated fat. Okay? So we have here an essential fatty acid, an omega-3, okay? Omega-3, uh, it's called it's called an omega-3 because okay. By the way, there's a difference between saturated at saka unsaturated fat, no? Pag sinabing saturated, there is no double bond in the carbon chain, okay? So if you notice, merong carbon dito, merong carbon dyan, no? These are actually carbon, okay? So ito, this, one, two, three, yan. These are actually carbon. So you have carbon, one, two, three. Yung may three dyan, that's another carbon, and so on and so forth. So as you would in chemistry, so saturated fats, there would be no um, there is no double bond in the carbon chain. Okay? Ang unsaturated fats, there is one, at least one double bond or more double bonds in the carbon chain. Okay? So example is itong omega-3, no? So if you notice, you have carbon, if you notice, but why is it called omega-3? Because the um, the double bond starts, or the first double bond is located in the third carbon. Okay, so if you uh, try to count, no, so you have one, two, and then we have three there. Okay, so that's why it's omega-3. Ang linoleic naman, omega-6, if you count, no, so we have one, two, three, four, five, and then six. That's why it's called an omega-6 fatty acid. Okay, so these are actually class essential fatty acids. Okay, all right. So okay, so again, ang emphasis natin for fats, no? Emphasis natin in terms of nutrition, dapat more of our intake should be more of unsaturated fats than saturated fats. Okay, so as much as possible, no. Okay, so as you can see here in this table, uh, saturated has no double bonds. Okay, and for unsaturated, we have one, and then that's why it's called monounsaturated. Okay, that's why it's called monounsaturated. So these are the common food sources. And then we have pag two or more double bonds in the carbon chain, it is considered to be polyunsaturated fatty acids. Okay? All right. So essential fatty acids cannot be synthesized by the body and must be obtained from the diet. Okay. So there are two families. We have omega-3 and omega-6. Okay. All right. So non-essential fatty acids naman can be synthesized by the body. Okay, so another is omega 9. Some of you have heard about omega 9. And omega 9 fatty acids, they are previously thought to be essential for as long as there is presence of omega 3 and omega 6. Then our body can produce the fatty acid omega 9. Okay, so that's why it's thought to be uh, essential, no? All right.
Sir, nawala na po ang audio, sir.
Hello? Okay
Yes,
na,
sir.
audio. Okay. Al- All right. So I'll go back to my screen. Kanina pa ba nawala?
Bago-bago lang, sir.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Sige. Thank you. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, all right.
Ay, sir,
I don't know
question
what's
lang po,
happening
sir.
with this, no? Yes, yes. Yes.
Ah, di ba, sir, naka-indicate
Yes.
kanina sa table, sir, na if na ang number of bonds is 2 or 3, considered na siya as polyunsaturated, sir. So, ang omega-3 and
That's
omega-6, sir, kay
that's right.
polyunsaturated na sila, sir.
Yes.
Polyunsaturated sila. That's
Thank you, sir.
thank you for the observation.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, okay. So, okay. All right. So, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Now, uh, okay. Okay. So, saturated fats, each of its carbon atoms carries all the hydrogen atoms possible. So, in general, animal foods contain more saturated fatty acids than unsaturated, no, and they are usually solid at room temperature. That's why I have defined earlier whether uh, fat or oil. No, we have defined earlier or described earlier na ang fat is solid at room temperature and oils are liquid at room temperature. Okay, so examples of sources of saturated fats, we have meat, poultry, egg yolks, whole milk, uh, whole milk cheeses, cream, ice cream, butter, chocolate, coconut, palm oil, no, and palm oil. So these are what we call these are the tropical oils, itong coconut at saka palm oil. So the rest are actually the sources of the rest of the saturated fats actually are from animal sources, right? So for monounsaturated fats have one place among the carbon atoms,
where there are fewer hydrogen atoms attached then in saturated fats. Okay, so the good thing about MUFA, MUFA, no. So if you can see MUFA, that stands for monounsaturated fats. All right. So monounsaturated fats is said to lower low density lipoprotein or the bad cholesterol. Okay. So when they replace saturated fat in one's diet. So examples of the sources of monounsaturated fats, we have olive oil, canola oil, avocados, and cashew nuts. Okay. So the recommended dietary allowance, the recommended intake is that it should be 15% of the daily calories should come from monounsaturated fat. So that is why class when you are going to plan for the diet, dapat uh, it should be coming from plant sources, no? More ang fat mo should come from plant sources than animal sources. Like let's say for example, kaya yung mga masarap nga ang pagkain pero butter naman ang ginamit, no? Butter it comes from dairy, no? Comes from milk, no? So it's from animal source. It is definitely high in saturated fats and at the same time cholesterol. Okay? So, ang polyunsaturated fats naman have two or more places among the carbon atoms where there are fewer hydrogen atoms attached than in saturated fats. Examples examples are cooking oils made from sunflower, safflower, sesame seeds, or from corn or soybeans, soft margarines whose major ingredient is like liquid vegetable oil and also fish. Okay, so that's PUFA. Okay, PUFA naman. If we have MUFA, we also have PUFA. PUFA stands for polyunsaturated fats. Okay, so do not be confused by these no by these terms. Okay, so PUFA. Okay, so foods containing high proportions of PUFA are usually soft or oily. Omega-3 fatty acids, um, they lower the risk of heart disease. Okay, they are found in fish, no? So omega-6 naman, fatty acids have cholesterol lowering effect. The recommended intake is 8% or less of the total daily calories. Okay? Now, as you can see here, um, coconut oil is highly saturated, no? It's highly saturated. Uh, it's even has more it has more saturated fats compared to the animal sources, no, but let us not judge coconut oil, ha, kasi coconut oil is still good in the sense in when we talk about nutrition, being a plant oil kasi it does not contain cholesterol. uh Wala siyang cholesterol class, pero uh meron din kasi tayong tinatawag na MCT or medium chain triglyceride, which is yan ang advantage ni coconut oil, no? Na in the process sa body natin, uh, ang sa metabolism is maganda ang coconut oil. Kaya mas na-absorb siya agad-agad, no, compared to the rest of the other sources of fats, no. But then again, wag lang sobra. Okay? So butter is highly saturated. So if you notice, butter, beef tallow, palm oil is also saturated, highly saturated. But it doesn't mean na they do not contain MUFA and PUFA, no? They contain MUFA and PUFA pa rin. So some vegetable oils such as olive and canola are rich in MUFA, no? So, yan, as much as possible, ito yung gagamitin natin, no? But definitely, class, um, ang problema kasi with some of the some of these, no, kasi we cannot use naman olive oil for deep fat frying. Okay? So usually palm oil or coconut oil, no? Or we can have we can have other sources of oil, no? For deep fat frying. Okay? Now, many vegetable oils are rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids. Okay, we have safflower, sunflower, corn oil, soybean oil, and cotton seed. Okay. All right. How about trans fatty acids? Can you still hear me, class? All
Yes,
right.
sir.
So all right, thank you. Okay. Uh 'Di ba in the labels meron kayo makita no trans fats. Okay? No trans fats, no? Actually, trans fatty acids are actually um, not good for, or they are actually bad for our health, no? These trans fats are produced when hydrogen atoms are added to MUFA or PUFA. Okay? So, instead na they become that na in oil siya or liquid at room temperature. So what happens is that there is a process called as partial hydrogenation where it produces margarine or shortening, no? So actually it traces cholesterol. It traces the bad cholesterol in the body. So TFAs raise low density lipoproteins or raise low density lipoprotein and total cholesterol. Okay, so the major source of trans fatty acids, so ito yung isang bantayan ninyo, are baked goods and restaurant foods. So TFAs, dapat as much as possible, no trans fats. Okay? All right. So I hope that um, from now, apart from the calories, you also have to check whether meron siyang trans fats, no, and also cholesterol, no. So and also saturated fats. Okay, so this is how yung trans fats are made, no, or I mean the hydrogenation. So from polyunsaturated fat, no, from liquid form, no, liquid form, dinagdagan ng mga hydrogen, and then uh, so from liquid, it becomes solid. Okay? Solid, no? Kasi dinagdagan ng hydrogen. So double bonds carry a slightly negative charge and readily accept positively charged hydrogen atoms, creating a saturated fatty acid. So most often, fat is partially hydrogenated, creating a trans fatty acid. Okay? So ang nangyayari, imbis na sa cis, ang fatty acid, no? Cis fatty acid, because of partial hydrogenation, nagiging trans siya. Okay? So, ang isa lang ang ano ninyo, isa there is only one thing that you need to remember is that trans fatty acid is not good for our health. Okay? All right. And you have to know the sources of trans fatty acids. Okay. Now, hydrogenated fats, these are PUFA, okay, polyunsaturated vegetable oils to which hydrogenated has been added commercially to make them solid at room temperature. So this process na ang oil na magiging solid siya to become fat, uh, is called hydrogenation, and it turns polyunsaturated vegetable oils into saturated fats. Margarine and shortening are made in this way. Okay, so we have to be careful with that, no? Kasi again, it affects our cholesterol level, okay, and also triglycerides. Okay, so another lipid is sterols, no? We're actually done with triglycerides. Another is sterols, no? By the way, it's ang sterol, meron din siyang it's still helpful, no? Itong cholesterol is one, no? You have to remember, class, that all plant sources ng fat are do not contain cholesterol. we can only get cholesterol from animal sources. Okay? All right. So we can only get cholesterol from animal sources. Okay? So cholesterol. Okay. So let's say for example, avocado, peanuts, no, like coconut, even coconut, if it's highly saturated, or even palm oil, even if it's even if coconut and coconut oil and palm oil are highly saturated, yet since they come from plant sources, they do not contain cholesterol. Okay? So, yan lang ang isang, yeah, that is one thing that you need to remember, no? Like, let's say, for example, some would say na durian is really fatty, and it raises cholesterol. Avocado is fatty. It raises, it contains cholesterol. Actually, that those statements are false, no? Because um, cholesterol can be found only in animal foods. Okay? So, ang sources niya from animal foods lang siya. Okay, so cholesterol is a sterol. It is a fat-like substance, no? So, this exists in animal foods only, and also the body cells, no? So, that is why cholesterol uh, is non-essential. They do not exist in plant foods, and they're essential for the synthesis of bile. Okay, so importante siya in the production of bile, sex hormones, cortisone, and also sa vitamin D, no? And cholesterol, after all, there are really good things about cholesterol. Wag lang pasobrahan, no? Because it can it may be bad, no, for our health, no. It clogs in our arteries. Okay, and these cholesterol are needed by every cell in the body. Okay, so ganyan ka importante ang cholesterol, no. So in as much as possible, so um ang you have to remember that cholesterol, ang cholesterol, dapat yung intake natin of cholesterol should be decreased because our body is already producing its own cholesterol. So that is why um, to control that, no, genetics is one, isang factor yan, but another is physical activity, no. So we are encouraged to, to increase our physical activity through exercise, no. So that we improve our body cholesterol level. Okay. Now, the dietary cholesterol, let us take a look at dietary cholesterol. No? Ano ba ang mga foods dito na mataas ang cholesterol per dietary cholesterol per serving. Okay? So, one is shrimps. Okay? And egg, no? Egg is very, very high in cholesterol. But again, the cholesterol in egg can only be found in the egg yolk. Okay? Now, next to egg is shrimps. No? Ang shrimps pa naman, ang dami-dami nating nauubos na shrimps. Okay? Ground beef, even if it is lean, no, contains cholesterol. Also, tuna, even if it's just canned in water, contains cholesterol, still cholesterol. Okay? So, medyo bantayan natin yan, no? Okay. All right. So, only foods, again, it's stated here, only foods of animal origin contain cholesterol. Consequently, grains, vegetables, legumes, and fruits provide no cholesterol. Okay, stop and share. Your client has been diagnosed with a high cholesterol level greater than 200 milligrams per deciliter. Answer the following questions. What risks are associated with a high cholesterol level? And what can be done to lower a high cholesterol level? Okay, so high cholesterol leads to atherosclerosis, or a CVD, or cardiovascular disease, in which no, plaque, or the fatty deposits containing cholesterols and other substances form inside an inside of artery walls, no, sa mga ugat-ugat, no. So this can lead to heart attacks and stroke, no. So um, yan, we do not want that to happen to us or to anyone, to our family members. So that is why we need to be careful of what we consume, no. All right, so another way of reducing cholesterol, kasi yung client natin is high ang cholesterol level niya, um, reduce the amount of total fat, saturated fats, and also cholesterol in the what is meant here is that yung sa diet, and also increase monounsaturated fats in the diet, lose weight and exercise. Ito yung sabi ko sa inyo, increase the physical activity, and also increase consumption of soluble dietary fiber. Okay? So, soluble dietary fiber, so emphasis, dapat we have to consume a lot more vegetables and fruits, because they are, and whole grains at the same time, because they're high in dietary fiber. Okay, so medications may be prescribed in some cases, and daily cholesterol intake should not exceed 300 milligrams. Okay, so for digestion and absorption of fats, okay, so 95% of ingested fats are digested through a complex process. It's complex, no? The chemical digestion of fats occurs mainly in the small intestine. There's no digestion of fats which occurs in the mouth, but there is for example, kung pagkakain ka ng say for example butter, because our body is warm, no, sa mouth pa lang it melts, no, yan, but there is no digestion of fat in the mouth, except of course during infancy, no. For infants, there is what they call lingual lipase. That's an enzyme which converts fat into simpler compounds, no, na fat, no. But as we grow older, nawawala yan. Okay, so tayo wala na tayo niyan, no. So there, in other words, wala nang digestion of fat in the mouth, no, but it only melts in the mouth, no. So there's tight digestion in the stomach, where gastric lipase acts on emulsified fats such as those found in cream and egg yolk. All right. So for digestion and absorption, okay, for digestion and absorption, the bile emulsifies the fats. No, bile is produced in the gallbladder. Okay, so it is it is the emulsifier, no, emulsifier. So if you are eating highly fatty food, no, or high in fat na food, so the bile releases the uh, the gallbladder releases the bile, no, so that it emulsifies the fat. Kasi remember, no, the enzymes are water loving, no. Enzymes are water loving. So kung uh, walang bile, uh, hindi ma-digest o ma-hydrolyze yung fats natin, no. So that is why there is bile to emulsify the fats, okay, so that the maka-act upon maka-act uh, ang ano ang enzyme to the fat, no. So uh, the enzyme pancreatic lipase reduces the fats to fatty acids and glycerol, and the body subsequently absorbs through the villi of the small intestine. Okay, so yeah, so this is the fat digestion, no. So with the help of enzymes, no, so it is broken down Again, this is a triglyceride. So here, this part no on the as you in the screen on the screen sa left side, that is the glycerol part, and then we also have fatty acids attached to it. So yan ang ibe-break. Ito yung mga ibe-break ng enzyme, no? Enzyme or itong lipase, so that it can be absorbed inside the body. Okay? So kasi masyadong malaki ang triglyceride, no? So it cannot be absorbed, no? So it has to be converted to simpler compounds for absorption. Okay? All right. Okay, so just like this one, can you still see this? Can you see the screen? All right. So just like this one, no. You might ask, ano yung bile, no? Ano yung purpose ng bile, no, or emulsifier? Remember that fat and water, they are immiscible, no? Immiscible, or they cannot be combined together. So that is why kailangan ng emulsifier, so that um and then remember that the enzymes are found in the watery GI juices or gastrointestinal juices, no? So kung walang bile, hindi ma-hydrolyze yan. So there will be malabsorption of fats kung walang bile in the body. Okay? That is produced by um, uh, the gallbladder. Okay? So this time, there is emulsified fat kasi meron siyang bile. So that is how it looks like. Okay? Then, because of that, no, there the emulsified fat is being hydrolyzed now by a particular by lipase, okay, lipases. So para it can become simpler compounds for its absorption. Okay, so this is a very nice uh this is a very nice uh uh, picture or illustration of the importance i- of emulsifier in the body. Okay, so all right. So for fat digestion, okay. So this is what we call the enterohepatic circulation. So um, in the liver, bile is okay. By the way, uh, bile is stored, no? Bile is stored in the uh, gallbladder, but is actually produced in the it is produced in the liver. So ang liver ang nagproproduce ng bile. Okay? And then eventually, the bile is stored in the gallbladder. Okay? And then in the small intestine, bile emulsifies the fats. Okay? So after nagamit na ang bile, then the bile is being reabsorbed and it goes into the blood and it goes to the liver, back to the liver. And kaya nga class, ito, in the colon, bile that has been trapped by viscous fibers is lost in the feces, no? Kasi importante din na iko-control natin ito, no? Otherwise, magkakaroon ng mga bile stones, which is not good, no? So bile stones, kaya or the gallstones rather, no? So that is why we need to eat fiber, no? Sources ng fiber, we have vegetables, fruits, and whole grains, so that it is excreted through our feces. Okay? So, yeah, no. So that is why we have to consume vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. which are good sources of fiber. Okay. The lipoproteins naman, okay, so in the initial stages of fat absorption, bile joins with the products of fat digestion to carry fat. Later, protein combines with the final products of fat digestion to form special carriers called lipoproteins. It's called lipoproteins kasi part of which is a lipid and then part of which is protein, no? Or fat at saka protein combined. Lipoproteins carry the fat in the blood to the body cells. Okay. Now, the lipoproteins we have chylomicrons, the VLDLs or very low density lipoproteins, low density lipoproteins, and the high density lipoproteins. So among the lipoproteins, the bad here, no, the bad cholesterol is considered to be the low density lipoprotein. Okay, so now you might ask why, no? Ang good actually is the high density lipoprotein. You might ask why, okay? So later I'll show you no the composition. Okay, so chylomicrons. Chylomicrons is the first lipoprotein identified after eating. This is the largest lipoprotein. It is the lightest in weight and composed of 80 to 90% triglycerides. Okay? Um, yeah, no? So, why? Okay. So, ito yung this is the solar system. I like the illustration. No, this is the solar system of lipoproteins. No, so yung pinakamalaki diyan yung purple or purple or violet diyan that is um or lavender, that is the chylomicrons. It's the biggest, pero it's the lightest in weight. And then the next is VLDL or very low density lipoprotein, followed by the in terms of size is the LDL, which is the brown, and then ang pinakamaliit class is yung HDL. Okay, so this is what we call the solar system of lipoproteins. So why is LDL or low density lipoprotein considered to be the bad one or the bad cholesterol? If you notice, may green dyan, no? Ang composition kasi ng low density lipoprotein is that it's very, very high in cholesterol. Okay, it's very, very high in cholesterol and less in triglycerides, and it also contains less protein. Okay, so that is why it's the bad cholesterol. Whereas ang HDL naman, this is the good cholesterol. Okay, this is the good cholesterol. So konti lang sa composition niya, konti lang cholesterol, but it's more of the protein. Ang composition niya is protein. Okay? So ang ano natin dapat higher than normal, ang higher than the recommendation, ang HDL or high density lipoprotein natin, not lower than the recommendation. And then ang LDL natin should be lower than what is low as much as possible itong low density lipoprotein. Okay? So, yeah, no? So, VLDL naman, these are made by the liver to transport lipids throughout the body. This is composed of 55 to 65 percent triglycerides. These carry triglycerides and other lipids to all cells. And as the VLDL lose triglycerides, they pick up cholesterol from other lipoproteins in the blood, and then they become LDL. Okay? So, itong VLDL can later on, itong very low density lipoprotein, itong yellow na ito, can become LDL soon, no? Or can be converted to become LDL. So you have to work on this. Right? So yeah, no, it becomes LDL. But ang bad is yung low density lipoprotein talaga. Okay, so yun ang sabi sa atin, to lower the cholesterol, dapat we need to exercise, we need to consume, ang fats natin should be coming from plant sources, no? Okay. All right. So, low density lipoprotein, okay. This is the bad cholesterol. This is composed of 45% cholesterol with few triglycerides, and these carry most of the blood cholesterol from the liver to the cells. Okay, elevated blood levels greater than 130 milligrams per deciliter of LDL are thought to be contributing factors to atherosclerosis or fat clogged arteries. Okay, uh, or which is which can cause heart attack, no, heart attack or heart attack or stroke. Okay, so dapat i-lower natin ang low density lipoprotein or LDL. In ang HDL naman, or high density lipoprotein, this is the carry cholesterol from the cells to the liver for eventual excretion. So that is why HDL is good, no? Kasi ini-excrete siya, no? Outside the body, no? So outside the body, kaya maganda ang HDL. All right. So levels of HDL higher than 35 milligrams per deciliter are thought to reduce the risk of heart disease. So what do we do? Exercise. Okay. Maintain a desirable weight and give up smoking. No, so avoid smoking. To increase one's high density lipoprotein. Kasi if you smoke, chances are mag-i-increase yung if you smoke, mag-i-increase yung low density lipoprotein and bababa yung high density lipoprotein. Okay? So again, the HDL is called as the good cholesterol. Okay? So metabolism of and elimination, the liver controls fat metabolism, which occurs in the cells. Fatty acids are broken down into carbon, dioxide, and water, releasing energy. And fat not needed for immediate use is stored as adipose tissues. Okay, so mahihilig sa mga ating mga pagkain, both the visible and invisible fats, uh, they pag sobra yan, uh, it is stored in our adipose tissues, no? Lalaki ang tiyan natin. Okay, so carbon dioxide and water are waste products removed from the body by the circulatory, respiratory, and excretory systems. Okay, so stop and share. Okay, can you still hear me and see the slides? All right, thank you. Okay, so your client asked you about a new dietary supplement that advertisers claim provides essential nutrients and lowers cholesterol naturally. How do you advise your client? No? So here, any new dietary supplement for which a nutrition claim is made should be carefully evaluated. Okay, so if the item is not included in the RDA or dietary reference intakes, it is safe to assume that medical research has not determined that it is essential. So ingestion of dietary supplements of a known value could ironically be damaging to one's health. Okay, now we proceed to 10 more slides and we're done with lipids. No? Kasi mahaba ang lipids, no? But siguro probably this session we are going to finish up until protein, no? Next session na lang ang ano next session na lang ang vitamins, minerals, and water. Okay? So phospholipids, they're found in both plant and animal foods and they're synthesized in the liver. They are natural emulsifier that helps transport fat in the bloodstream. Example is lecithin. Okay? So you would notice na paggagawa ka ng mayonnaise, no? Ano ba ang ginagamit natin sa mayonnaise, we have vinegar, no? We have or acid, and then we have egg yolk, no, and oil. Okay, so the egg yolk contains the lecithin. Okay, so again, lecithin is an emulsifier kasi without an emulsifier, which in this case, which in the example that I'm giving you, without emulsifier, you cannot combine vinegar and oil. Okay? So kaya sometimes nagbe-break yung ano no, yung mga mayonnaise natin no, kasi nagse-separate ang vinegar because it's water, no? Water siya tapos nagse-separate siya sa oil kasi yun nga because of probably lacks or there is a problem in the emulsification, no? So egg yolk contains the emulsifier lecithin, okay? So uh, which is actually meron siyang role both in food science and also at the same time in our body. Okay? So for phospholipids, so ang phospholipids in triglycerides has etong nasa left portion, this one is the this portion is the glycerol. And then, kung ang triglycerides is three fatty acids attached, ito naman, ang phospholipids are two fatty acids attached to a glycerol plus ang isa no, is a phosphate. Okay? Kaya it's called a phospholipid. Okay? So, phospholipid, ito yung ano no, this is a very nice illustration kasi uh, kung ang cell no outside the cell yan no sa ang cell kasi outside the cell that's watery fluid, okay, and then merong mga ulo-ulo diyan, these are the glycerol heads, no, glycerol heads made of phospholipids, kaya ito actually ang ano ang glycerol heads at saka fatty acid tail, no? Kaya that is why phospholipids are also very important um, para some substances can enter the cell. No, otherwise there could be malabsorption also. Okay, so phospholipid, merong glycerol heads, and then meron fatty acid tail. Okay, so inside the cell so that they can be metabolized already. Okay, so again, I think what you need to remember is that kung malalaki siya na compound, malaki siya na compound, it cannot enter the cell, no? So dapat i-hydrolyze siya with enzyme. So another thing is that one thing that you need to remember is that ang fat has to be emulsified pa, no? So that the enzymes can act upon it, no? So yan ang mga things that you need to remember. Okay? So it may be difficult for you to understand kasi iba yung field na ng ng IT, no? Ito kasi very pero I think what you need to remember are the basics, no, of why what of what happens, no, the basics and the principles. Okay, all right. No, so oil, as you can see, di ba, are immiscible or they cannot be combined, no? So that is why itong phospholipids and then also the emulsifiers help para maging miscible siya. Okay? So this property is important in plasma membrane. It allows fat soluble substances, vitamin and mineral in and out of the cell. Emulsifiers facilitate the mixing of oil fats in water solution. Okay, so lecithin, the best known phospholipid, this is used in industry as an emulsifier. The liver makes all the lecithin the body needs and hence not an essential nutrient.
Okay, kasi there are others who are taking lecithin supplements. No? Our liver is already producing enough lecithin. No? So we do not need, therefore, we do not need lecithin supplements. The body can make all that it needs. And since lecithin is a lipid, it provides 9 kcal per gram. So still. Okay? So fat alternatives, there are also fat alternatives no pag ayaw nating maging to avoid obesity and to avoid health lifestyle diseases, there are also fat alternatives, although they're expensive and some of these can also has also effects, no? It can cause cramps, no, and diarrhea. So one is olestra, no? So they are not actually fat, they are alternative to fat. Okay? So made from olestra is made from carbohydrates and fat. This is FDA approved for use in snack foods, and the government requires that food labels indicate olestra and all inhibits which inhibits absorption of some vitamins and other nutrients. Yan lang yung downside ng use of olestra. And this should be used in moderation kasi it inhibits absorption of vitamins and other some vitamins and other nutrients. Okay, so it contains no calories. It can cause cramps and diarrhea. Okay, so we also have Simplis made from egg white or milk protein, which can be used only in cold foods. Okay, and oat trim, it's a carbohydrate based, no, derived from oat fiber and can be used in baking but not frying. Okay, so in terms of the dietary requirements, okay, the deficiency symptom of fat occurs when fats provide less than 10% of the total total daily calories, no? So, it's good that I have the food exchange list kasi nandoon, 'di ba, 20 to 35 or 20 to 30% rather but in the states 20 to 35 is acceptable, no, but in the Philippines it's 20 to 30% of the energy requirement should come from fats. Okay, now if 10% of the daily calories should come from fat deficiency, there would be deficiency, a problem in deficiency ng fat, no? And in the States, the Food and Nutrition Board's Committee on Diet Health recommends that people reduce their fat intake to 30% of the total calories. Okay? So, pasok ang recommendation Philippines. Okay? So, American Heart Association naman, newest recommendation is to consume equal to or less than 7% of saturated fats, 8% PUFA or polyunsaturated fats, and 15% of the monounsaturated fats. At present, 36% of calories, no, to an average in the US diets is derived from fats. So, grabe sila kasi yung mahilig kasi, no, most Americans they're they like eating they love putting or adding butter to their dishes. Okay, so yeah, no, so we have to be so in order to control that, no, so as much possible kung pwede hindi tayo mag-add ng fat, the better, no, in our kasi yung food itself may contain fat already. So ang iba ang ginagawa, I do not know if you know an air fryer. Do you know an air fryer? Oo. So an air fryer, you can cook French fries there. You can have French fries without adding too much oil, no? Too much oil, no? Konting oil lang, but not too much kasi kasi when you're going to have uh when you're going to have
French fries, yung usual na preparation, it absorbs a lot of fats, no? So kaya ang ginagawa is ang ginagawa ng iba is that they use air fryer para konti lang ang fat. Okay? So use also non-stick pan, tapos ang iba is spray. They just spray oil, no? Spray on their on the cookware, no? So yun lang, no? So as much as possible. Okay, so for conclusion, for fats, we have fats provide energy. They carry essential fatty acids. Okay, essential fatty acids, the omega-3 and omega-6, and the fat soluble vitamins. We have the A, D, E, and K. Um, Let us not judge naman the fat, no? Kasi importante talaga, meron siyang function, no? Otherwise, without fat, we can be deficient with the essential fatty acids, and we can be deficient with the fat soluble vitamins, the vitamins A, D, E, and K. All right. So it protect organs and bones, and it's an insulator and provides satiety after meals. No, ito yung mga things that you need to know, no, about fats. No, um, composed fat or lipids are composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and are found in both animals and plant foods. Each gram of fat provides 9 calories, and the digestion occurs primarily in the small intestine. So an excess of fat in the diet can result in obesity and possible heart attack or cancer. Okay? So that would be all for lipids. Okay? So we now proceed to protein. Okay, do you have questions? All right. Okay. Ito, medyo konti lang naman ito. 34 slides lang ito. Kaya natin ito, no? Mabilis lang ito, no? Okay. Proteins. What I suggest, class, is that you ano na lang, kasi exams week na ngayon, so you download the slides which I uploaded in the Google Classroom, so that you read them, no? Para ano, you read them para you have a basis already. Okay? All right. So proteins. Okay. So we're done with lipids. Okay. So objectives: state the functions of proteins in the body, identify the elements that make up proteins, describe the effect of protein deficiency, and state the energy yield of proteins, and identify at least 6 food sources of complete proteins and six food sources of incomplete proteins. Okay. Right. So fats, of the 6 nutrient groups, only proteins can make new cells and rebuild tissue. So that is why this protein is a main function is for building and repairing tissues. Okay? So sa mga muscles, sa different organs of the body, no? In building, kung kunyari may wound ka, no? So to make new cells and rebuild tissues, we need protein. Okay? So protein are also essential throughout the entire lifespan. And proteins are the basic material for every body cell. And proteins are the only nutrient group that contain nitrogen. So ang carbohydrate at saka fat, actually similar sila, no? Ang ano din, protein, no? Meron ding carbon, hydrogen at saka oxygen. But plus the element nitrogen. So that's what makes it unique, no? Ang protein is very unique because it contains the nitrogen. Okay. So amino acid is going to be the building blocks of protein, no? So
Proteins are composed of amino acids, and amino acids are nitrogen-containing compounds. Its essential amino acids must be provided by the diet. Okay, so there are 8 essential amino acids, and 2 are essential during childhood only. Okay, so in other words, there are essential amino acids which should be provided or supplied by the diet. Okay, our body cannot produce these amino acids. Okay, that's why it has to be supplied by the diet. Okay, so essential amino acid man can be produced by the body. Okay, so I hope by now you can already define nutrients in terms of essentiality. Okay, so ano yung essential at saka the difference between essential at saka non-essential nutrients, no? All right. So classification of protein, we have high quality protein. It contains all the 10 essential amino acids. Uh, Incomplete protein naman lacks one or more amino acids, and it cannot build tissue without help. Okay? So usually ang complete protein is high quality, or tinatawag namin yan no in the sa nutrition as high biologic value, usually from animal sources. Okay? Then ang incomplete protein are the proteins coming from plant sources. But there is a way, no, to do para ang incomplete protein can become complete protein. No, there is what we call the principle of complementation. Later on, which I'm going to discuss later on. No? So kasi you might ask, what about the vegetarian, sir? Oh, hindi sila kumakain ng foods that contain animals. So, anong ginagawa nila? So, there is a way of doing things, no? Actually, healthy din ang vegetarian, magiging vegan or vegetarian, strict vegetarian, only that it has to be planned, no? Na will not be um, they will not be deficient with with protein and other nutrients. Okay, so from plant sources. Okay, so ito na yung proteins. Sabi ko, what do vegetarians do? No, what vegetarians do? Complementary proteins occur when a combination of incomplete proteins are eaten in the same day to make a complete protein. So, for example, if you eat corn and beans together, so there are amino acids na meron si corn pero wala si beans. Pero si beans naman merong amino acid na wala si corn at the same time. So if you combine them together during the day, on the same day, no, if you eat them together, then you can have a complete protein. That is what we call the principle of complementation. Okay, so that is what vegetarians or vegans do. Okay, although incomplete protein siya, pero because of combining these food items, then we can have a complete protein already. Okay, so like another is rice and beans, no, bread and peanut butter, bread and split pea soup, bread and cheese. Okay, although cheese is complete protein already. Bread and baked beans, macaroni and cheese, cereal, and milk. Okay, so ito yung principle of complementation or complementary proteins. Ang principle lang nito is we are going to improve the protein quality ng pagkain natin. Okay, to make it high biologic value or complete protein. Okay? Kasi importante ang protein, no? Food sources, we have animal sources. These are the complete proteins. We have meats,
fish, poultry, eggs, milk, and cheese. Okay? Plant food sources, these are incomplete proteins, but then again, earlier I mentioned about the complementary proteins or the principle of complementation. Pwede pa rin yan, but uh, that has to be planned, no? Well-planned, no? Na you get to consume, you get to enjoy, you get to you get to have a balance, no, of the essential amino acids, no. So you get to have sort like rice and beans. Meron kasi what makes the rice and or plant sources incomplete is that meron siyang amino acid, essential amino acid na lacking, no. For example, sa rice, ang beans din, incomplete din yan kasi plant sources sila. But again, if you eat them together the same day, no, on the same day, all together, you can have a complete protein already. So, plant food sources, okay, that's why um, we encouraging variety, no. If you remember in the nutritional guidelines, we have the first is eat a variety of foods every day. Okay, so corn, grain, nuts, sunflower seeds, sesame seeds, and legumes are plant source of protein. Okay, we also have analogs. Okay, so not know if you have. Do we have Seventh Day Adventist here? Anyone who is a Seventh Day Adventist or Sabadista? Meron ba? Any of you? Walang Adventist sa inyo? Seventh Day Adventist or vegetarian? Yung wala. Okay. All right, wala. So
Vegetarian, sir.
vegetarian. So I don't think kung baka meron kasi kung mga Adventist, some of them are vegetarians. So I have a friend na pero she's not really semi lang, semi-vegetarian, no. By the way, pag sinabing vegetarian naman, may different levels din yan, no? Pag sinabing vegan, ito talaga completely walang from animal sources. They do not consume milk or dairy products. They do not consume eggs, no? They do not use butter, for example, in cooking. So from plant sources yan lahat, no? Plant sources yan lahat. Okay? So, and it's actually healthy, no. Only that they need some supplementation in some nutrients, no, like vitamin B12. Okay, so it's very healthy, no. And one point in my life naging ganun din ako, pero it's difficult on my end because I'm teaching nutrition and dietetics and HRIM, no? HRIM, tapos may mga competition, tapos it's difficult naman to become a vegan when you really have to, to try the food that the students are preparing, no. So it's difficult for me, no. And also madali kasi kung kaya actually if you check my fridge, no, you cannot see wala na akong foods, canned goods na mga goods, no, dito. Canned goods ko na lang are yung mga peas, beans, no, pero yung mga corned beef, mga beefloaf, wala akong naka-stock dito kasi I'm trying to avoid, no, because I'm old, no, and I do not have meat, no, although I still consume fish, no, kasi kumakain din naman ako sa labas. So what I just have here are I will show you mamaya, no, itong kuan ko kino-consume na kuan ang milk ko either kuan yan low skim milk or low fat or I use soy milk no for my as an alternative for my milk no. Okay, now um analogs are meat alternatives made from soy protein and other ingredients to simulate various kinds of meat, no? So example is tofu. You're familiar with tokwa, no? Tofu is a soft cheese-like food made from soy milk. This is helpful to strict vegetarians to meet their protein needs. Okay. Stop and share. Your client is concerned because her daughter is a vegetarian and does not eat meat or a vegan, no? Your client states, "My daughter does not eat meat, so I know she doesn't get any protein. She's ruining her body. How do you respond?" So although animal foods are best sources of complete proteins, foods that provide incomplete proteins can be combined yung sa principle of complementation earlier, which I've told you, to make a complete protein. So no need to worry about it. So the best sources of incomplete proteins are legumes, corns, grains, and nuts. Soy protein and tofu are nutritious meat replacements. So functions of protein. It builds and repairs body tissue. It regulates body functions, sa metabolism and digestion, fluid and electrolyte balance. You see, pag mababa ang protein in the body, no, it causes actually edema, no, or magmanas, no, magmanas, no, or hupong. If you do not know edema, that's panghupong, no? So, one reason why maghupong is kulang ang protein. But that's just one reason, okay? And also development of antibodies, no? To fight against infection. Okay? So, kailangan ng protein. And again, CPF 449, protein provides energy pa rin. Pero, ang sa atin, we need to emphasize more that protein should be used. Ang priority niya is for building and repairing tissues and not be used as a source of energy. Okay? All right. So, digestion and absorption, mechanical digestion, it begins in the mouth, no? The teeth grind food into small pieces. And chemical digestion begins in the stomach. The hydrochloric acid prepares the stomach. No? So actually the reason why very acidic itong tiyan natin, yung stomach natin is because protein has to be denatured, no, to prepare para maging digestible siya. So hydrochloric acid, kaya HCl sa gastric juices natin, no? Hydrochloric acid prepares the stomach and the enzyme pepsin, no, in the stomach reduces proteins to polypeptides. Um, that has to be converted to become absorbable proteins, no, or polypeptides. So from a complex compound to become a single compound na polypeptides, and then eventually that can be absorbed in the body already. Okay, so absorption and absorption, chemical peptide from the word poly, no? Di ba sabi natin acid are the amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So pag sinabing polypeptides, these are chains of amino acids. Okay, so maraming amino acids in the chain, no, or bounded together, 10 or more amino acids bounded together. In the small intestine, three pancreatic enzymes, we have trypsin, chymotrypsin, and carboxypeptidase, continue chemical digestion and absorption through the villi. Okay, so for metabolism and elimination, amino acids are broken down and the nitrogen-containing amine group is stripped off, or the process is deamination. No, pag gagamitin mo ang protein as a source of energy. And ammonia is produced. Ammonia is very toxic, no? And that is why um, pag may sira sa liver, one indicator na ma the liver is not functioning is that um, the the liver is not functioning is that ammonia level in the body is very high, okay, which is very highly toxic, no? So itong ammonia has to be converted to become urea, which is less toxic, and eventually urea is excreted excreted by the kidneys, no? Excreted by the kidneys, kaya medyo may amoy, no, may mapanghi, no? Ang ano natin, ang ihi natin, no? Kasi yan, one of the reasons is that it contains urea. Okay? And this is also the reason why, 'di ba, sa mga ano, sa I do not know if you have plantitas. Plantitas, what they do is that they add ihi and then combine it with water, i-dilute nila ng water para mo na ang ilahang what they do is to uh, to uh, to water the plants, no, as a fertilizer, okay, because urea is important, no, for plants, no. Okay, so pag mataas naman ang urea class, pag may sira naman ang kidneys, mataas naman yung urea. Okay? So, pag mataas ang ammonia in the body, it could be the liver is defective, no? Pag mataas ang urea, it could be the kidneys ang the affected organ, okay, or is not functioning. But actually, these are actually both are actually related, no? So kung may sira ang kidneys or liver, actually, after all, uh, the kidneys and liver are inside the body. So one one organ affects the other. Okay, so it could be the liver affects the kidneys, or the kidneys affects also the liver. Okay, so yeah, no. So we have to take care of ourselves. For metabolism elimination, the liver picks up ammonia and converts it to urea, and the kidney filters out urea and excretes it, and the remaining parts are used for energy or converted to carbohydrate or fat and stored as glycogen or adipose tissue. Okay, kaya yung iba, high protein diet ay dili lang ko mag-rice or kuan, pero pag sobra naman yung protein, it's expensive. Okay, it's expensive source of energy. Second is it's going to be hard for your kidneys and the liver, no? Mababurden yung kidneys and liver natin. Okay, so we have to take care of our filters, no? Filters. We have the kidneys and our liver, no? So let us take care of these two organs, no? Kasi pag itong magloko, itong dalawang organs na to, nako, pati we're going to have a problem, really. Okay, so dietary requirements for protein is determined by the size, the age, sex, and physical and emotional conditions. So the National Research Council of the National Academy of Sciences considers the average daily requirement of to be 0.8 grams of protein for each kilogram of the body weight, no? In the Philippines, to average naman is 1 gram of protein for each kilogram of body weight, no? So there is a computation here, no? So say for example, to determine your requirement for protein, divide body weight by 2.2, okay? the number of pounds per kilogram. So pounds divided by 2.2, or kung may kilograms ka na, you just simply multiply it by 0.8 if you're in the States, or 1 or 1.2, or depende, no? Kasi yung mga athletes, or let's say pregnant women, or depending on, kaya sabi earlier na depende sa age, sex, and physical condition, no? So, depende kung anong allowance, no? And you multiply it with a specific factor. Okay? So, your clients weigh 170 pounds. So, what is your client's daily requirement for protein? Can anyone, can anyone compute what is the protein?
Sir, pwede pakiulit, sir. Ano gagawin, sir?
Okay. What you need to do is to determine the body weight, no? Usually kasi in the States it's in pounds. So divide it by 2.2, so that you can have the equivalent in kilograms, okay? And then to be able to determine the protein allowance for the whole day, you are going to multiply it with 0.8. The the number of kilograms ng body weight, multiplied that by 0.8. Okay, so compute that. Your client weighs 170 pounds, and the question is, what is your client's daily requirement for protein if we're using 0.8 grams per kilograms of body weight ng protein?
Wait lang po, sir.
All right, take your time.
Times 0.8, sir, na?
Yes, absolutely.
136, sir. 170 times 0.8.
170. Divide
Times
2.2.
divide by 77, sir. 0.27.
So that's the kilograms. Okay, it's 51.
61, sir.
61 grams. Okay, so that's
62.
actually correct, or 62 grams. So this is how to compute it, no? So 170, your client is 170 pounds. Okay? Pero kung nakalagay na ang kilograms, because in the Philippines we're using metric system, no? Kilograms na agad, no? Seldom we use pounds here in the Philippines, no? Pero may gumagamit din ng pounds, no? Pero kung nakakuan, you don't need to convert that, no? But in the States, usually kasi pounds ang ginagamit nila kasi they're using different system, no? So, here 170 pounds ang client mo, divided by 2.2 pounds per kilogram, that is equivalent to 77.27 kilograms. And then 77.27 kilograms multiplied by 0.8 grams of protein, that is correct, no? Correct yung computation, that is 61.81 grams. So the answer is 61.81 grams, or if you're going to round it off, it becomes 62 grams of protein, okay, per day. Nakuha?
Yes,
All right.
sir.
So
Yes, sir.
okay, so now you can actually relate to this kasi I have already taught you doon sa how to do computations, no? Doon sa the use of the food exchange list. Okay? All right. So, what happens if there is protein excess? Okay? All right. So, pag sobra ang protein, no, saturated fats and cholesterol found in complete proteins may contribute to heart disease. Okay? So, usually kasi ang protein food items kasi from animal sources, usually may mataas din yan sa cholesterol, no? May cholesterol yan siya. So there's also a connection to colon cancer, no? pag sobra ang protein, and substitute for essential fruits and vegetables, no? Um, there's an increased demand, no, as I was saying earlier, there's an increased demand on the kidneys if there is protein excess, no. So yeah, no, so the National Research Council recommends that protein intake represents no more than 15 to 20% of one's daily caloric intake and not exceed double the amount given in the table of the recommended dietary allowances. Okay, so eto, marunong na kayo niyan, yung mga eto, no, kasi because I've taught you already yung percentage method ng total energy requirement. Okay? All right. So now another is okay, you are the nurse and your client asks you whether or not taking daily protein supplements will help build muscles, strengthen nails, and control weight. How do you respond? Okay? So bulking up athletes, lifting weights, no, not supplements, builds muscle. It's not actually the protein um, that builds the muscle that the athlete desires, no. It's actually yung normal requirement or slightly increased lang siya, but not too much na dili na sila they do not consume any more carbohydrate, no. Yung bulking up, it's actually more of the exercise. So to be able for us to build those muscles, para 'di ba may mga six packs at tapos sa triceps and sa biceps, ganyan ganyan, it's actually more of the physical activity and not because of too much of um, eating too much protein. Okay? So that exercise yan. Growing fingernails. Fingernails have never been affected by extra protein. Okay? So you have to remember that, and spare body protein in weight loss. Okay, so dieters need a balanced diet using the guidelines of the food guide pyramid. Okay? All right, so nitrogen balance. Nitrogen balance, this is nitrogen intake equals nitrogen excreted, no? The positive nitrogen balance exists when nitrogen intake exceeds amount exceeds amount excreted. So negative nitrogen balance exists when more nitrogen is lost than taken in. So what are the conditions of positive nitrogen balance, and what are the conditions considered to be negative nitrogen balance? Okay, so positive nitrogen balance where the positive nitrogen balance is when the intake exceeds the amount that is excreted, no. So our body is trying to maintain that equilibrium, no, or that balance, no, para kung for example if you need more protein pa, hindi niya i-excrete yung nitrogen, no. So positive nitrogen balance happens during pregnancy because of the growing fetus inside. Growth period, so if you're still growing, no, most of you are still growing on a growth age pa na group, no. Building muscles and rebuilding tissue after trauma or illness, or yung tinatawag natin convalescence or convalescence, yung galing ka sa sakit or na-admit ka, tapos you are recuperating, no, or you are trying you're recuperating or healing, no, in other words, or healing, or that's a time you are rebuilding the tissue after a trauma or illness, and then you are considered to have a positive nitrogen balance. How about the negative nitrogen balance? Example of negative nitrogen balance is when you have fever, injury, surgery, burns, no, burns kanang mapaso, no, kanang paso, either chemical or electrical burn, no, or any burn na negative nitrogen balance yan. Starvation, no? And immobilization is considered to be negative nitrogen balance. Okay? So, protein deficiency, there's what we call muscle wasting. Albumin, protein in the blood plasma, deficiency causes edema. Ito yung sabi ko sa inyo na ka naging magmanas or maghupong, no? Pag kulang ng protein, magmanas or manghupong. Okay? So, protein deficiency, there's also loss of appetite, dili ganahan mo kaon. There's problem in the strength, no? And also the weight. Lethargic, no? There's also depression and slow wound healing if there is protein deficiency. All right? So, what is protein energy malnutrition? Protein energy malnutrition, this is the lack of protein and energy-rich foods. They are found in developing countries like the Philippines, no, with shortages of protein and energy-rich foods. No, the Philippines is considered to be a developing country, kaya marami tayong cases or mataas yung um, mataas yung uh, malnutrition natin, no, in terms of protein energy malnutrition, uh, because of kulang sa protein, walang because of our economy, no. So this causes stunted growth in children, no, dilaas to their potential. There could also be mental retardation. Mental retardation may occur in infants born from mothers with protein deficiency. Okay, marasmus. Um, I want you to um, I want you to I want you to please uh research about marasmus and kwashiorkor. Okay, so what is this marasmus? No? This is a form of protein energy malnutrition. This affects very young children, results from severe malnutrition. There's lack of energy, protein, vitamins, and minerals. Emaciated meaning payat, no? Sobrang payat na wala naman ni unod na bata, no? Or tao, no? Emaciated yan. It undergoes emaciation. And but there is no edema sa marasmus, no? Dili manghupong ang marasmus, no? Compared to kwashiorkor. Later on, i-ano ko mamaya, no? I-differentiate natin ang marasmus at saka kwashiorkor, no? Hair is dull and dry, and the skin is thin and wrinkled. Okay? So that's marasmus. Ang kwashiorkor naman, sudden or recent lack of protein-containing food, which affects children and adults. Fat accumulates in the liver, and lack of protein hormones results in edema, painful skin lesions, and changes in pigmentation of skin and hair. There's high mortality rate sa kwashiorkor. What happens in kwashiorkor is that there could be enough energy or tama-tama lang na energy, but there is really less protein, no? Actually, mas delikado ito compared to marasmus, no? Pero if we take a look at children or individuals with marasmus and kwashiorkor, mas magproblema ta sa marasmus, no? Kay sobra payat, no? Sobra payat. Pero medyo balanse pa ang kwashiorkor kasi baba na both, no? Etong kwashiorkor tubigon ang lawas pero actually kulang ng protein, no? Mas delikado siya kaya there is high mortality rate etong sa kwashiorkor. Okay? I will be sending you probably a video about the difference ng marasmus at saka kwashiorkor. Okay? So, differentiate between marasmus and kwashiorkor by identifying three differences between the two conditions. Okay. Marasmus, there's the weight is decreased, sa kwashiorkor, weight is within normal limits. All right. Visceral proteins within normal limits. Visceral kwashiorkor is visceral proteins is decreased, and sa immunity naman, immune function ng marasmus is immune function is within normal limits, whereas ang kwashiorkor, it's decreased, no? Marasmus, dull and dry hair, and kwashiorkor, there is flag sign, no? Reddish color hair, and then marasmus, emaciated and wrinkled appearance, whereas edema, puffy and a puffy appearance. Okay? So, but we take a look, sometimes we look at itong kwashiorkor, medyo parang silang matatapa pero they're not actually, no? Tubigon sila, no? Because of actually edema. Okay? So, for our conclusion, proteins contain nitrogen. They build and repair body tissues, regulate body processes, and supply energy. And each gram of protein provides 4 calories. Proteins are composed of amino acids. 10 of the amino acids are essential for growth and development. Okay? So, are there questions so far?
None po, sir.
All right. So,
Sir, ang slides lang mo, sir.
excuse me? Hello? Ang?
Sir, ang slides lang mo, sir. Thank you.
Actually, I posted it sa Google Classroom already.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So, take a look at this one while itong ginagamit ko, Vitasoy. Lower in fat, healthier ang fat. Although mayroon siya saturated fat, there's nutrition information here. Okay? And it comes from plant sources and no cholesterol. No? So, I hope that it becomes a habit na you check labels, no? Okay, so it's 10:35, no? So it's going to be too much for you what I want you to do, class, is to compute for your although alam niyo naman, no? Nakasabit na ba lahat ng mga ng food exchange list? Yung menu?
Yung iba, sir, di pa kumpleto, sir.
Okay, I'll give you the rest of the time, and then I will be waiting for that, okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, so you have enough time for that, okay? So, the topic for the next session, we have vitamins, minerals, and water. Okay? So, to conclude para water and electrolytes to conclude our actually we studied this for 4 years, no, and then in your case actually medyo paano ko ba ito ituturo sa mga how am I going to teach you, no, nutrition. So basics lang, no. So expect na there would be more computations during finals, no, and also nutrition care process, no. Let us see, no. Hopefully, so okay. Before we end, what did you learn today?
The acid, sir, and protein calculation.
Okay, all right. So amino acids. Okay. So what else? Anyone?
The ADEC, sir, then omega-3, omega-6 essentials.
All right. So thank you, Eldon. Okay. How about the others?
Na sa lipids na part, sir, is it is composed of sir? It is composed of, actually for me karon lang po ko kabalo na lipids are composed of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen po, sir, na which is lower proportion of oxygen than carbohydrates.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jeno. Okay, how about the others? Um, okay, how about ano kaya magamit nyo kaya ito while you are in the IT? Ang ano ko kasi is that how are you going to use the topics in the application of these concepts to IT? What do you think? Would it be possible, or are there any thoughts or creative na mga thoughts na baka pwedeng ganito ganyan? Kasi after all, at the end of the day, we are trying to learn these concepts kasi um, we are preparing you to become to to be the best um, IT professional. So any thoughts? Did something came up na ano na pwede ninyong gawin in development of a system or a software? I do not know.
Yes, sir. Kay very ano naman ang healthcare karon sir, tas what if ang IT sir kay mag-help sa nutrition and dietetics ng mga students sir, so di na siya kanang foreign good para saya ang mga terminologies sir, kay na may background sa ana, so mas dali siya makasabot ug mas dali niya cope up ang everyday para makahatag siya og intervention sa isa ka problem sir.
Okay, thank you, Angelo. All right. So, I hope that from time to time, no, thank you, Angelo, no. I hope that from time to time you can already think of like, ano ba ang software or system na gagamitin ko na pwede kong gawin or feature para, ano ba mga features na pwede kong gawin para I can have this software or system, no. So, yon, no? I hope na mahabol natin 'yan, no? Considering malapit na din ang finals. Okay? All right. So, and then apart from that, no, being IT prospective IT professionals or IT students, apart from that, what I like about nutrition is that you can also apply it to yourself. Okay? So not just only in the profession, but you can apply it to yourself kasi this is an applied science, no? This is an applied science na, okay, ganyan pala. So, uh, it's not just because, kasi because we know that the functions, kung magiging deficient ka with particular nutrients, no? So, there could be, magagamit mo siya na ako dapat balanced diet pala, dapat less pala yung intake ko nito, ganyan, no? Et
Yes
cetera,
sir,
et cetera.
maging mindful kasi
Yes,
yun na
mindful. All right. So, thank you, Angelo. All right. So, I will see you next session. Okay. So, this to discuss about vitamins, minerals, and water.
Sir,
All right.
interrupt ko, sir. Sir,
Okay, Eldon.
exam week na karon na mo, sir.
Yes, that's right.
Ay, mag-discuss pa ka, sir.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Uh, Eldon, this may be easier for you kasi you have a tita and a cousin na nutritionist, both
So,
nutritionists.
niya sir,
Sir, sir, dili
Igsuon?
kita, sir.
bayapon
Mama to
sir.
na ko, sir.
Oh my gosh. Mama ni mo si Ma'am Vivienne?
Yes, sir.
Oh my
Awan na, sir. Dili ko
gosh.
tuduan, sir.
Really? Tapos imong ate.
Ate, manguno ko to, sir.
Amangod ni mo Eldon kato si Mangon,
Si
Yes, sir.
Margaret, sir.
Margaret?
Yes, sir.
Ano dili man ka magpatudlo of katong food exchange list, mga ito pa sila.
Tuan mo ko gamay lang, sir. Kay busy man po sa
Ah,
trabaho, sir.
okay.
Sir.
Busy sila sa trabaho.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I didn't know ha. Sorry, Eldon ha.
Layo
Both
na
of
kayo
you
sila,
pala
sir, no?
are my students. I thought relatives lang mo. Ay, relatives mo, of course, no, pero relatives
Yes, sir.
ba?
Na-mention
I
mo
didn't
sa
see
mama,
mo,
sir.
Margaret.
Na-mention na sa
Oh,
mama, sir.
okay. All right. Okay. Okay. What a small world. Okay.
Coincidence.
So
Small
now,
world lang, sir.
imagine, pwede na mo matabangan si Ma'am Vivian, imong mama, and si Margaret also in ano sa programming, di ba?
Yes, sir. Maging ana, sir. Sa ilang gusto mo pa. Sa dietaries, ay sa nutrition, sir.
All right. Okay.
Alright,
So,
sir.
yeah. All right. So thank you very much, no? So, have a good one and do your TLA katong wala pa nakasubmit. It's 10:44 here. You still have around 15 to 16 minutes before 11, and then I will be waiting for the submission. All right? Okay.
Alright, sir. Thank you, sir.
So let us pray in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. For all that has been and for all that will be, let us glorify our triune God by saying, Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen.
Hmm.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Bye, sir. Thank you,
Bye,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
All right, bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Sir, thank you.